righty, Dingles and Dinguses. Welcome into another episode of the Almost 13 Colonies podcast. It's been a minute, boys.
Woo. It has been a
And,
minute.
Yes, it has.
Pat, introduce me to your friend who is below us here on the screen. Who is this guy?
It's Vinny. Who would have known? Who would have known?
Oh, man. I'm a lost soul on this podcast.
Yeah, I kind of thought, I knew he got married. Maybe she drug him to like Siberia or something for the honeymoon. And
Dominican Republic, actually. It was great.
DR, nicer weather.
I was hoping you would ask me to be in the pod that week, because then I would have done it on the beach to make everyone feel like shit.
Wow.
I would have just thought it'd be a Zoom backdrop.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Zoom backdrop or Vinny's honeymoon. You decide.
Yeah.
I like it.
Sorry, boys.
That's
honeymoon
good.
come first.
Glad you're happily married.
You know what? We've had a 2-week break here. I had a baby shower, and some internet problems. So I feel like that kind of makes up for all the time that you've had off this year. So
yeah,
it just feels good to be back.
Life happens.
Yeah, life does happen.
We're lunch pail boys. We got stuff to do outside of the pod.
Yes, but it's always great when we can spend, half hour together. So cheers, boys, to another episode.
Cheers.
Cheers, fellas.
I'll be the weird guy and drink out a straw.
It's been a couple weeks. Lots changed, but at the same time, not much has changed. So let's take a look at this last week's action before we get into talking about standings. So in week 10 action, we had Prestige Worldwide coming back alive after a 3-game skid. It was kind of rough with the bye weeks in there. But we took care of business against the King, John. And let's have a quick funeral for John, because he is officially eliminated from the playoffs. Pour one out.
Pour one out for the homie.
John, King. I tried to trade with you, bud. I tried.
So, John, wherever you're at, I know you're looking at somebody's eyes right now. I just hope that you find hope in those eyes. Okay. Yeah. And then next matchup, we had Zeke and Destroy back at it again with another win over Patrick's mustache, which I don't know about you, Pat. I really loved that game.
So I actually did like that game going into it.
From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. I believe I texted you at one point and said, Clay, you better not lose to Mitch on his.
Yeah, it was literally after the Thursday night game where DJ Moore was playing in like torrential downfall and like 40-mile-per-hour winds. Obviously, they weren't going to catch much. I didn't know that until the game started.
That's okay. Well, at least the wins were the wins of a win, and I appreciate that.
Justin Fields carried me to glory yet again.
That's a great pickup. Great pickup. Pat, you decided to take a read to the woodshed. Unfortunately, it wasn't Creighton for you.
Yeah.
So you might be the opposite this week.
You inserted a nail into at least one of the final. I don't think it's the final nail, but one of the final nails into the coffin of Brecken.
I did.
A little matchup. Yeah. I'm sure you would have liked it to be Creighton, but it was Brecken. So tell us how you're feeling after this win.
Any win against any win against a Reed brother is a win. Like, it's a solid win. So even though it wasn't Creighton, this still felt good.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was a good win for you, keeping pace in the RL division with that.
Hey, I showed you that it could be done like in week 4 or 5 once he created the super team.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's possible.
This is like LeBron James in game 6 trying to force a game 7, losing to like an average. Who was it that the Cavs lost to?
The Warriors.
Yeah. No,
it wasn't the Warriors.
But when LeBron had his super team, with the Cavs, it was with the Cavs. So yeah, it would have been Warriors when he had Kyrie and Kevin Love, and it's supposed to be amazing. Yep. So good job. We had Zach Beery coming out of the woodwork and taking victory
back from the dead.
That was an upset of the week, man, against Alexander, who had been having a really good year. So, and Zach was the leading scorer for the week.
Yeah, I bet you Creighton sends something to Zach, help him out a little bit because Creighton now has the 1 game lead in that division.
Do you think Zach's arm is sore from patting himself on the back? Because it better be. That was a big win.
He increased his chances from 0% to 1. So gotta respect the guy.
Win or go home at this point. So.
It's do or die.
And then Kittle Corn, Steve continues a surprising season as he pulled off the upset against Corn Kid, which Steve didn't score very many points, but it was enough to get it done.
Yeah.
So
Andy's so correct on his statement where he consistently scores almost nothing more than 125, but he consistently scores almost in that range every week. So I think Steve's team is sneaky good if Breece Hall wouldn't have gotten hurt.
I think Steve needs to change his team name to Just Enough at this point.
Just enough.
Yep.
Just enough.
And then Apollo Creed continues his dominance, taking out Hertz Donut pretty handily. Not a huge high scoring game, but Creighton's team's just tough to beat. He had some bye weeks, but it didn't really matter. So Creighton continues to be tied first in the league. So with that being said, we're going to jump into some power rankings. Have you guys made power rankings yourselves? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I have mine. So I'll kind of say mine and then we'll go from there. So in my opinion, I think Creighton's the undisputed number 1 team in the league. No questions asked. If he's at full strength, nobody's beating him. Mm-hmm. Number 2, I got Clay. I think he's put together a huge season. He's already, I think, in my opinion, in the playoffs. Is probably a 2 or 3
considering my division. Yeah, considering my division.
2 or 3. And then but he really suffered, with Cup going down. We'll see what the rest of the season brings. That's a pretty big loss when you lose the number 1 receiver in fantasy.
Yeah.
And I put myself at 3. Again, it's been a little rough stretch with that 3-game losing streak. We got back on track and got some reinforcements. Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown should be coming back here this week. That'll help out a little bit and give Kyler some breathing air.
Josh Allen's hurt as well. Well, Josh Allen's not going to be slinging the ball as much, and you know what that means. They're going to be running the ball.
Running the ball.
Beneficiary of that.
Devin Singletary, baby.
Yeah.
So, I have myself 3. I think those 3 are probably, I think they'll probably end up winning the division. Knock on wood. I know Pat's right here. But number 4, I got Alexander. Again, he's put together a pretty solid team, solid season. Actually, do we call us Alexander or do we call it Pierce's second team?
Oh.
Because at this point, we're unsure. Andy brought that point up.
He's like Casper. You never know where he's at.
I need like an Andy conspiracy theory show about why Alexander's team is actually just Pierce's second team.
Andy, I'm challenging you to be a guest next week on the pod so we can hear this conspiracy theory.
We need a documentary about it. A little
Make me an ESPN 30 for 30 by next week.
Make it like Drunk History.
So, Pierce controls 2 fantasy teams.
Aliens.
But Alexander uses Pierce's phone to send Chiefs hype. I think that's the way it works.
I think Pierce has Alexander's login for fantasy,
so
Pierce can set his lineup.
100%. That's the way it's going. so good job, Alexander, coming in.
Yeah, we're watching you.
Number 5, I got Pat. Pat, you're in the playoffs. You've earned some respect this year. You got a good team. You clearly were all about the strategy when you got rid of Cooper Kupp before he got injured. You knew it was going to happen. I know you did, you dirty dog. Do you think that's enough to put some respect on your name? Are you okay with me ranking you at number 5?
Yeah. Okay. I'll be completely honest. I would love to be higher up on the totem pole. I don't see how I can be higher up on the totem pole. I think I have enough juice to maybe get a playoff win. A big if on that. But yeah, I think 5 is very fair for me.
Hey, your goal this year was what?
Make the playoffs, get 5 wins.
There you go.
And you did
both
that.
Of those.
You're setting.
I've excelled one of them.
Yeah, you're setting up for pretty decent success.
Here's my deal. We'll finish out power rankings. Then I got Brecken checking in after that 6. Again, like I said, you put one of the final nails in the coffin, but not the final. So I think Brecken comes out strong. He's passed his bye weeks, and I think he's going to roll through quite a bit of people here down the stretch. So he could make a push. Watch out for him. But to me, really, these next 2 and Brecken are all in the same tier. So Brecken, Steve, Mitch, and even Pierce, you can throw him in there. those you can kind of put in any order, in my opinion. Um, Mitch, I think, is in an unfortunate position with Jamar Chase being injured. That really kind of
I think he comes back this week, though.
Is he back this week?
I think so.
Maybe. Well,
it's on the questionable. I mean, it's at the 4 weeks for I don't think they threw him on IR, but they're at the 4 weeks right now. So
okay. And if Jonathan Taylor's back and healthy, that really helps him out. So we'll see. And then I got Pierce at number 9, Andy at number 10, moving out of the last spot. Zach at 11, then John rounding us out at 12. So Andy, Zach, they did enough to earn some respect to not be in last place here. John, I'm sorry, man. It's just not looking great.
John, all you got to do is rattle off one win in the playoffs, and the Scrophy is not yours.
Yeah, you don't want Scrophy.
Yeah,
we're going to start scrapbooking the Scrophy this year. I think we need a picture of like the loser kissing it or something.
Yeah,
signing it.
I'm pretty sure I have that, but
well, I think we need that. So, you guys have any discrepancies or big differences from that?
Yeah, I have a few. I'll let Clay go first, though.
Okay, so for my number 1, I actually have Colin. Consistently looking at how your team scores when you're at full health, you're always at like 145 to 155 points every week. And then also considering just the logistics of your team now. Hollywood's coming back. Singletary's really starting to develop into a good runner on that Bills offense. And they're really starting to trust him. And so he's getting the ball more. And I think they want to take the ball out of Allen's hands a little bit more. So Allen's probably not going to be running nearly as often. So Singletary's value is going up. Saquon's just, he's been the X factor, and he's been that kind of a needle in the haystack type of player this year, where he's just been a rock star. And Kirk Thuggins Kirk Thuggins just going off with that chain gang of his. But yeah, I like your team the most by far. But that's not to discredit. Yeah.
Real quick, Jamar Chase is set to return week 12. So not this week, but next week.
Okay. I thought I saw questionable next to him.
Most likely. Yeah, they said that he's probably going to stay out this week, but they're really pushing for him to come back next week.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 2, obviously it's Creighton. And then 3 is me. I would have put myself. I mean, I think there's a bigger discrepancy between 2 and 3. I think 1 and 2 are pretty well up there. 3, if Cup wouldn't have been hurt, I think I would have been closer to that. But the 1 through 3 can be interchanged if Cup doesn't get hurt. But since Cup's out, I put myself at a solid 3. And then at 4, I actually have Steve. I think his team can rattle off some wins here. Now, I know that this is power rankings, but when it's all said and done at the end of the season, when playoffs are getting settled and rankings come out, I think I like Steve at 4. And then I like Pat at 5. And then here's where my discrepancies come in. I actually think Mitch is going to squeak in at number 6. I think he's going to squeak in the playoffs. And then after that, I think it's going to be a do or die type of situation between Pierce and Brecken. I think they're going to be either flipped flopped. So Brecken or Pierce could be either 7 or 8. And then
do you think Brecken is out?
I think he is. I really do. He's got a huge hill to go up. And that's not saying that his team is bad. He has a phenomenal team on paper. But he has dug himself such a large hole that this week's that matchup that he had with Pat, he needed to win that in order to give himself a really good chance, because he needs to get himself an at-large bid, because I'm slowly pulling away from him. Like, I would need to literally lose out the rest of my season for Brecken to have a chance. And there are way too many at-large bids already that are ahead of him. So he needs lots of dominoes to fall in his place, and we'll get to his playoff percentage. And that's what I'm looking at. He has a really garbage playoff percentage right now. And I know that's just numbers, but at the same time, like, you got to look at his schedule still remaining. And at the same time, his team just doesn't perform that to where it should. He should be in the top 4 easily.
Right.
But he's not. And then, oh wait, I forgot to add Alexander. Alexander can flip him anywhere between the 6, 7, and 8 role. So I would probably put him more at the 7. And then Mitch, Pierce. So we have both the same.
Okay.
And then obviously Andy's kind of pulling away from the bottom 3. I think he's the top one out of those bottom 3.
He's starting to pull out of that parking lot. Yes.
Yeah, he is. His team just consistently scores. Zach's team relies on those guys that he traded for at the beginning of the season, where he gave up Mixon. He needs those guys to perform the way that they did the first 2 weeks, and then he'll be fine. But I think John might be able to rattle off one win in the playoffs, and I think it might be against Zach.
He very much could.
Yeah, and that's not saying Zach's team's bad. It's just it's so inconsistent and all over the place. Zach's team can go off for a lot of points, and then 3 or 4 weeks in a row, Zach's team can score maybe 90 to 100 points. It's just, I feel his frustration with the team.
Pat, what's your discrepancies?
Okay, so at number 1, I agree with Clay. I have you as the number 1 team. I think you. So here's the biggest thing, right? Bye weeks suck. We all get affected by bye weeks. Our top scorers go out, and then we're just done. It is what it is. You can't help it. You have had a bad string of bye weeks. I am in a terrible stretch of bye weeks right now, but I still consider your team the number 1, because once we're out of this slew of bye weeks, your team is going to be scoring 150, 160 a week.
It was very,
and I think that's going to be very consistent too.
I had a couple guys on bye weeks when I played. I think it was Mitch and Brecken. So not last week, the week before, or 2 weeks ago. And I lost those 2 matches combined by 6 points on bye weeks.
Right. So the game before this week, I had a bye. I had Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper and Kareem Hunt all on a bye. That hurt. This coming week, going up against Creighton, I have Tyreek Hill gone, Christian Kirk, who just had 26 points, gone. Like Tua's gone. Like it's just going to be a very tough stretch. But again, once you're out of that stretch, your team is going to score points, a lot of points. So I have you for that reason, I have you at number 1, and I have Creighton at number 2. Yeah, Creighton, I have you at number 2. Don't get too excited.
Don't shoot the messenger.
And then also I have Clay at number 3, very deservingly.
Yeah.
I think that's just the most fair.
I think I get Mark Andrews back. I've had him on bye for like the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So if he gets back to where he was the start of the season, I think that covers Cup being gone a little bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you guys, top 3 is pretty,
I honestly might be doing a 2 tight end set for some of my weeks.
It's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
I think the top 3 are pretty set then.
Yeah, I would say across the board, you cannot look at a top 3 power ranking without including yourself, Clay, or Creighton. And that's just facts and the way it is. At number 4, this is going to be a little weird, but I still have Alexander at number 4. Okay. I think Alexander still has a solid team. I think he's been on a down slope because of bye weeks and injuries, but I think he's going to start coming back up and really secure that 4th spot. I have myself at number 5. I feel like that's the most fair, and everyone other than Creighton, who has a hate boner for me, is going to put me at 5. So number 5 is there. Number 6, I got Steve. And the reason I have Steve at 6 is because he has a 6-4 record. Everyone else who is in any other contention of the playoffs have a long hill to climb. Being 4-6, the teams who are 4-6 right now, minus Mitch, are literally all in Clay's division. Yeah. And they all legitimately have some sort of chance to get that 6th spot. But I think Steve is going to take it. So with that being in mind, Steve is going to be number 6. Gizmo is going to be number 7. I'm going to follow that up with Brecken being at number 8. I have Pierce's team being at number 9. Andy's team being at number 10. But I can switch that, though, depending on how this week goes. I might switch that. And then I have Zach and John being in the last two slots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I'm gathering that I think record plays into your power rankings more in week.
Oh, easily. It needs to.
Yeah.
At this stage of the game, record has to be
right.
the number one thing to put in mind.
Yeah, and it's like I said when I was talking about mine. On paper, Brecken has a top 3, possibly one of the best teams that can rival Creighton's on paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when you take into all the other logistics that go to a fantasy team, then that drops him down a lot because his team's not performing and he is on the verge of not even making the playoffs.
I think Brecken's, and we'll get into this when we talk standings of playoff odds too, is we're going to kind of combine those. But I think Brecken's problem is that he has a bunch of superstars, but they never seem to perform on the same week for him this year.
Yeah.
Like Derek,
one that just goes off.
Yeah, Derrick Henry single-handedly beat me.
Yeah.
Whenever that week was when he ran for 200 some yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So if he can string that together with an explosive day from Stephon Diggs, an explosive day from Lamar Jackson
and Jefferson,
he's unstoppable.
Oh, yeah.
When you get great or great days from 2 of those guys, and the other 2 are not just average but below average, then that's kind of what you're looking at.
Yeah, and Lamar has been all over the place, in my opinion. Yeah. He's either really on or he needs a fourth quarter little comeback in order to get an additional 10 points.
I think he's really angling for that mediocre contract,
Yeah.
He had a chance to really secure a high dollar amount, but I think he really wanted the mediocre contract, actually.
Yeah, he fumbled it.
Yep. So without further ado, let's get into standings and playoff odds. So ESPN's playoff odds, you can't really call these the projections because they're actually calculated. One guy has been mathematically eliminated, and that's John. Rest in peace.
R.I.P. John.
In the arms of an angel.
A couple guys, let's talk about a couple guys who are win or go home at this point. Andy, Zach. I think if either one of them loses one more match, they're out.
Yeah.
Do Andy and Zach play each other?
Kind of more Zach than Andy.
Yeah. Zach's on playing me this week.
Okay. Yeah, so they won't play well, do they play each other next week? Nope. Okay, so they're safe. They're not gonna knock each other out.
Yeah.
That would have been kind of fun though. So Zach, Andy, best of luck to you this week. A couple other people who are roughly on the chopping block, depending what happens. So if they win, they're still in contention. If they lose and some other things happen, they could be in real danger. Pierce and Brecken, both 4 and 6 teams, both in your division, Clay. Clay, your division ended up the weakest in the league. What happened?
I think we just, at the beginning of the season, everyone just kept ganging up on each other in the league and just flip-flopping.
Yeah, it's interesting. So John 0%, Zach 1%, Andy 6%, Pierce 18%. Brecken still has a 27% chance despite being 4 and 6. And then Mitch, who just a second ago I can remember was in contention for winning our division, and now all of a sudden with 1 week difference and 1 loss, ESPN and math says, dude, you only got a 36% chance to win the league.
And this is the problem with Gizmo's team. He has relied way too heavily on the Bengals, who have kind of underperformed this year. On
they
paper,
score points a majority of the weeks. They do score points.
Yeah, they do. There are some weeks Joe Burrow's got 45.
The Jonathan Taylor.
No, but I will say Jonathan Taylor has been really good since Jeff Saturday has become head coach.
So literally last week.
But Jeff Saturday is 1-0.
Yeah. True.
And we'll see about that ankle. If he stays healthy, that could change things a little bit, and he could challenge you or I, Pat. So
yeah, he could.
That's one to monitor. He did lose Khalil Herbert, who is a solid pickup, and it was a great player for him for a while here. So those are all, and Mitch has 36% chance of making the playoffs. So those with greater than 50% chance. Pat, you're the lowest projected odds to make the playoffs at 71%. You sit tied at first place with me in the division. Actually, I believe I have the head-to-head tiebreaker though
You do.
on you.
Yep.
So if we end up with the same record, I would get that spot over you. So that probably plays into it a little bit. And then Steve has a 78% chance to make it, which I think Steve's going to pull through. I really do. Alexander, 83%. Again, these are 6 and 4 teams, solid chances. And then Colin at 86, myself at 86, Clay is at 98, and Creighton at 98. So if we look at this, Creighton and Clay, if you guys win, you clinch. And that's that. Especially you, Clay. You win, you're 100% in.
I have a lot of wiggle room.
What's that?
I have a lot of wiggle room with my division.
Did you beat Creighton?
I lost to him by like 9 or 10.
Okay, so Creighton has head-to-head over you.
Yeah.
Okay. I still think we need to go to points scored at some point, but that's a conversation for the offseason. Yeah, so as far as that goes, I think the 6 and 4 teams, 7 and 3 teams, they're sitting really well. You're probably looking at winning a couple games to solidify that.
I think the head-to-head matchup should still matter more than the points scored over the season, though. I mean, if he beats me, he beats me.
But if it's a better team, they're going to put up more points long-term across the span of the season.
True.
And I'd rather see the good teams in the playoffs rather than somebody who caught somebody on a bye.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, Pat has a new segment for us.
I do have a new segment for everybody. This segment is called Blind Resume, where we're going to take a team. I'm not going to get a team in our league I'm not going to give a lot of information, but I'm going to give you some key highlights of this team. And you are going to try to guess who, based on what I tell you, what this team should be ranked and what this team is.
Okay.
Are we ready? So, as an example, for this first one, this team has a quarterback that is ranked 6th in PPR.
Okay.
Has has 3 players that are in the top 10 for their position in PPR.
Okay.
And this might give it away, but they had a top 3 pick in our draft. A player that they drafted was top 3 in the draft.
As in like money spent?
Not money spent, so like, you know how like one player is like the number 1 overall player in the draft. This next player is the number 2 overall in the draft. This player that he drafted was in the top 3.
Oh, for like projected to go that high.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's not me because I didn't draft any well-known super studs.
I was actually going to guess Colin because I want to say Kirk Cousins. He's not top 5 for a QB, but I think he's right at 6. And then you have Kirk, Saquon. Who would your other third superstar be? That would be in the top 10.
I think it's got to be.
Don't you have the Bills D?
I have the Bills D. Yeah,
that's another top 10.
True.
That's like number 1 or number 2.
I think it's got to be Brecken.
That would be my next guess because Lamar has been shaky.
And Derrick Henry was up there.
Yeah, I bet it is Brecken.
Okay. And where do you think with this kind of talent they should be ranked?
That kind of talent? I think you got to look at probably top 4.
A playoff team.
Yeah.
A playoff team?
Playoff lock.
The answer is Patrick's mustache.
Is it Gizmo?
Really? It's Gizmo.
Wow.
I thought Burrow was like 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm. We'll do one more. Do one more. So you guys kind of know how the game works a little bit here, right?
Okay.
Who's his top 3? Who are his top 3 in the top 10?
His 3 in the top 10 currently is Jonathan Taylor.
Okay. Top 10 running back?
Yep, he is 7th in PPR.
How?
His last week.
Shocking.
Yeah, his last week helped.
That is shocking.
Terry McLaurin from Washington.
Okay.
Oh, is it Terry? Okay.
And
That's also-
Brett Mayer.
Carney boy. Carney boy, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. That was a little bit of a twister right there with the
That
kicker.
was challenging.
Yeah. I like to do that sometimes, you know. Okay. So this next one, this team has the number 4 quarterback, a top 5 running back, the number 1 and number 2 wide receiver, and the 3rd
Reckon.
best defense.
Reckon.
That's got to be Brecken with the receivers, dude. Diggs and Jefferson.
Yeah.
So with this, with that being said, where do you think this team should be ranked?
This should be like a number 1 or number 2 team.
Yeah, I was gonna say should be a number 2 team in the league.
Yeah.
You were both correct. This was Brecken's team.
Yeah. Derrick Henry's in the top 5, and then JJ and Stephon.
That's bizarre to have that kind of talent and never have it.
What's his defense?
The Patriots.
Oh yeah. They're in a lot of like shootouts. Not shootouts, but a lot of close, low scoring games.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird. It's just bizarre what's happening to Brecken this year.
Yep. So we'll do more as the season goes on, but I think this will be for podcasts going forward. I think this is going to be a really great segment for the second half of the season.
Yeah, that's that Mitch one's. I was just like, that
one got you good. Huh?
Yeah, that got me really good.
Okay. Man, yeah, that Brecken's is, when you just put it that way, it's ridiculous how much they've underperformed or hit and missed on the same week.
Correct.
So, poor guy.
Very unlucky.
Yep, very unlucky. So let's look at this week's matchups and make some predictions, shall we? And our guest picker this week is going to be Vinny himself. Welcome back. He's kind of a guest because we haven't seen him for a while. Yeah, and then our game of the week will be our last one as always. So first matchup, Clay, we have Kittle Corn versus Prestige Worldwide. And
I think this is going to be the closest game of the week.
I kind of want to put this as a game of the week just because Creighton and Pat has to be my go-to, but Pat, you got a lot of buys, buddy.
I know. I would not put myself. To be completely honest, it should be game of the week. It's not, but
yeah, I like this one. I think it's gonna be a close game. But I do think Colin and Prestige Worldwide edge out Steve just a little bit. But that doesn't mean Steve's out for the count. I think Steve still is a good team. And then the next matchup that I'm looking at.
1 minute. It'll be interesting to see what Kamara does. Kamara's been weird, man. The Saints need to figure their crap out.
Yeah, I mean, it was against the Rams.
Yeah, next week they're struggling, and I doubt. Well, Robinson could get 30 carries like he did last week since the Texans. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
It honestly depends.
Yeah,
but yeah, I like that one.
So if I'm picking a game of the week, we all can. I'm gonna obviously go with myself. I don't want to jinx it. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with a kicker yet, but I'm still, projections don't matter. But I still like where I'm at, even without a kicker in there.
Yeah. And so
Pat, who you got?
Oh, I got Prestige Worldwide.
Let's go.
Okay.
Watch out, Steve.
And I hate to say it because Steve's team has been doing really well this year. I just think in terms of this
just
matchup,
an unfortunate situation. Yeah.
It's an unfortunate matchup for him.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go off of what I'm seeing for the matchups for week 11 right now. So obviously, since I'm looking at my app, it's my matchup. So I'll just start with that. It's gonna be Zeke Destroy against I'm losing this year, which is Zach Beery.
What a good playoff lock week for you and a farewell.
Yeah, I want to say that I hate saying that I think I'm gonna win this one because I don't want to jinx myself, but I think I get this one. The next one that I'm seeing is Scott's Tots versus Patrick's Mustache.
Can we take a moment and say if you're right on this one, Clay, that means you lock your spot to 100%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot riding here.
Knock Zach out.
Oh my gosh. I locked myself and I locked Zach into being 0% for making
yes.
There's a lot at stake for this one. I'm
There
nervous.
is.
Oh, man, I hope my tight end plays.
I just want to make sure you understood the gravity of the situation.
Yeah. Mark Andrews, please bless me. So now I have Scott's tots and Patrick's mustache. Honestly, I don't think this one's going to be really that close. I think Brecken does score a decent amount of points this week, and that's just going to be too much. Yeah, and that's too much for it's too much for old Gizmo to handle. I think his team will still score a decent amount of points, but once Chase gets back, I think his team will be fine. But he doesn't have Chase right now.
I think
next
up, this one. I'm apologize. I think this one is the reason
You're
why.
pausing me on all of them.
I know. Just analysis. Everybody loves analysis. First of all, Pat, we love when Mitch loses.
Yes, we do.
You, Mitch.
Yes.
But we love when you lose. So I think this is the reason why Mitch's playoff percentage is so low, despite having a 5-5 record, is because of that strength of schedule going down the stretch.
Pretty tough.
Yeah, Mitch has Brecken this week, and then he has you next week, Pat, and then me the following week. So
that matchup might be game of the week, me against Gizmo, because if Jamar Chase is coming back next week, it's gonna be a lot of points scored.
Yeah, he's got Zach in there too at some point, but yeah, so he's got Brecken, you, me, and then Zach. So that's probably why. Anyways, Clay, continue on.
Okay, next up I have Apollo Creed and as good as Rutgers. Unfortunately, Pat's running into a scenario where it's just buy Mageddon. And Creighton doesn't. I don't think he has any buys this week on his team. So it's just the curse of having a decent amount of buys on your team for 1 week. I just don't think that's enough to really put you over the top when it comes to going against Creighton.
Creighton does have.
You need your full team to have a chance with Creighton.
Yeah, Creighton does have Tom Brady on a bye, so he's going to Mr. Unlimited again.
Yeah.
Going back.
It's funny that there was discussions. I'm just going to say this because the trade deadline's gone, but there was discussions for possibly Dak or Justin Fields to Creighton, but Creighton didn't see that either of those were better or on the same level as Tom Brady. So,
yeah, Justin Fields sucks.
I still think Tom Brady is overrated.
But can you imagine you would have traded Creighton, Justin Fields?
Yeah, I know. But I knew I have 2 quarterbacks and I can only start one. So I was just trying to find another player. I know because when Creighton's team is at full strength, he always runs into the situation of, well, which wide receiver do I start? Because he has 3 wide receivers he can start. Which one do I start? So I was trying to grab one of those ones that he doesn't start.
We might have had to open our segment for you with like booze if you traded Justin Fields to him.
Yeah, I know. I didn't though. I was hoping he would be more towards Dak because I was like, I like Justin Fields. He brings a lot. But yeah, I have Apollo Creed on that. Next matchup I have is Kittle Corn. Oh wait, well we already talked about that one. Prestige Worldwide, obviously. Corn Kid, AFC West. Golly, I actually think that Corn Kid might get this one.
I like it.
And it's honestly, it's just the case of injuries and buys for Alexander's team.
Yeah.
He has Miami out, and then Jerry Jeudy is injured, so he's not playing. Najee Harris is ass this year. Devontae Adams can be either amazing and a god, or he can just be mediocre. The only reason why Patrick has been doing so well this year is because Patrick Mahomes is just going God mode every week. Which guaranteed 40 points from a quarterback every single week. Like, golly, that gives you a chance to win almost every week.
Yeah,
it does.
But I like Andy's matchups, and I like Montgomery, I think, is going to really go off just because Herbert's out. So there's touches right there that goes to Montgomery. But I actually kind of like Corn Kid this week.
I don't think that's a bad pick at all.
Yeah, I like Corn Kid. And then this one, the last one, which is going to be the barn burner of the week, which is Hertz Donut and the King. Honestly, I want to really I really want to go for the upset. I really do.
You go in the King?
Oh, God, I really want to.
I need you to sign your name next to it if you're doing this.
Golly, I can't. I just can't, even though there's a decent amount of buys. Yeah, I'm going to do Hertz Donut.
Kenny Walker's on a bye, though.
Yeah, but John, doesn't have
and DK.
His tight end is gone, injured. And he just has no guys that I think that he can really sub in for that. Unfortunately, Keenan Allen getting hurt really hurt him.
Yeah. Keenan Allen's kind of been a pussy lately.
Yeah. So if Keenan Allen plays, he might have a chance, but he still has no one there on his team that is at tight end. So he can't really sub anybody out. He has 3 defenses, though, so good for him.
3 defenses.
He does.
Hey,
he has Cincinnati.
Big time playoff strategy is to establish the defenses.
I had 3
Cincinnati
quarterbacks as of like 3 hours ago. So
And there you go.
Nah, I think Pierce squeaks by with the one.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right, boys. Any final thoughts?
Fun year. This podcast is making the playoffs, baby.
let's freaking go. Let's go.
50% of the playoffs are on this podcast. Let's do it. Let's ride.
So I do have one final thought.
Okay.
And this is a shout out to Derek Carr and the Raiders. I would like a personal apology for how you have performed all season long.
I don't need an apology from the Raiders. Josh Jacobs.
You have Josh Jacobs. You don't have a problem.
Yeah.
I have Derek Carr, who has performed severely, like very underperformed.
Didn't have any weapons, bro.
Yeah, but you don't even need to play him.
No,
you
can't say that because he has Devontae Adams. Like when you look at the Raiders' offense, they
Waller,
on paper
hurt. Renfro hurt.
Yeah, well, sure, but like they should have been like scoring 50 points a freaking game with that offense. They don't have it.
Should be the
no one wants to play on the Raiders. No one wants to be called a Raider. It's just I finally had to drop Derek Carr this week. And I want a personal apology from Derek Carr for being so bad this year. That's all I want.
Okay.
It's my final thought.
I'm gonna give you my final thought really quick. Pat, you're an idiot for ever rostering Derek Carr. You're an idiot.
How am I an idiot?
It's so stupid. Derek Carr has never been good. He will never be good. And as a Chiefs fan, the Chargers are always going to Charger, and the Raiders are always going to Raider. They ain't going nowhere ever. So Pierce, let's chop, baby.
Oh my!
Let's chop. Let's chop.
On that
Jackson Mahomes dance.
Number 1 AFC runs through Kansas City, baby. We're rolling.
Yeah, put me on the noose. Shimmy Christmas.
All right, boys. This is a good pod this week.
It was good to be back.
All righty.
So
we'll see
good
you
to be back.
And we'll see you next time. Go ahead and Pat.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Cheers.